When you're ready, take a deep breath, because this teaching is one of the most misunderstood and most liberating pieces of wisdom preserved from the early followers of Jesus. And strangely, it's the one that didn't survive in the mainstream texts, but it survived through Mary. Not Mary the caricature, not Mary the accusation, not Mary the erased disciple, but Mary the conscious one. Mary the one Jesus trusted with teachings meant for the soul, not the crowd. Mary the one the other disciples called beloved because, in their words, she understood him better than they did. And what she understood most deeply was this: your suffering doesn't come from who you are. It comes from the parts of yourself that learned to break. And liberation begins the moment you learn how to bring those pieces back home. Her entire gospel is a map for healing the fragmented self, the split between your divine nature and the wounded selves you built just to survive. So let's walk through it together, slowly, like friends sitting in the quiet, trying to remember something ancient we once knew. Mary begins by describing a conversation that happened after Jesus' resurrection, a moment when the disciples were terrified and confused. Their teacher had returned, but everything still felt uncertain, unstable, fragile, and Mary tells them what Jesus told her privately: where the mind is, there is the treasure. In other words, where your inner attention goes, your reality forms. Where your fear goes, your fragmentation grows. Where your love goes, your healing begins. He wasn't talking about the physical mind, but the inner gaze, the part of you that chooses which voice to follow inside yourself. Because every one of us, every single one, carries fragments. The abandoned child, the protector, the pleaser, the one who shuts down to stay safe, the one who tries too hard, the one who chases people who cannot give love back, the one who hides just to avoid being rejected one more time, the one who clings, the one who doubts, the one who hopes against logic. All of these are pieces of you, but they're not you, not the eternal you, not the divine you, not the image of God within you, the part Jesus kept pointing to when he said, "You are the light of the world." Mary says that Jesus taught her how to walk the inner path, the path where the soul rises above the noise of its own wounds, and she outlines 4 stages. But she speaks them poetically, not as rules. She says the soul must learn to release the dark shapes, the craving, the ignorance, and the false peace that imitates love but is actually avoidance. And if that sounds abstract, let's break it into real life. Have you ever felt yourself acting like 2 different people? One part of you knows your worth, and the other part keeps giving chances to someone who only hurts you? One part of you wants peace, and the other part keeps choosing the familiar chaos? One part of you understands what God is trying to remove, and the other part keeps running back to the very thing that broke you? That's fragmentation. That's the divided self Mary is talking about. Jesus taught her that the soul doesn't heal by force. It heals by recognition, by turning inward and naming the voice that is speaking. Is this fear speaking? Is this trauma speaking? Is this the abandoned child inside me? Is this longing masquerading as love? Is this my ego protecting me from a pain I haven't faced yet? Or is this the voice of the true self, the image of God, the spark of the divine, the unbroken part of me that has never been lost? Mary says Jesus called this the ascent of the soul, not upward in the sky, but upward in consciousness, upward in self-awareness, upward in truth. She says that the soul heals each time you refuse to identify with the voice that wounds you. And at the deepest level, this is the work of integration, not rejecting the pieces of yourself that learned fear, but understanding where they came from. You aren't broken. You are a collection of selves that formed in different seasons of your life, each one trying to protect you in the only way it knew how. The people who abandoned you taught a part of you to expect loss. The relationships that hurt you taught a part of you to cling to crumbs. The moments where you had to be strong, taught a part of you to close your heart. The times you were silenced, created a self who still doubts her voice. The betrayals, created a version of you who is always on guard. These selves aren't wrong. They're not sinful. They're not your enemy. They're pieces that haven't been brought back to love yet. Mary describes the soul as a traveler gathering its scattered children, the inner selves, and bringing them home. Imagine that. Imagine the part of you that panics, being held instead of judged. Imagine the part of you that chases unavailable love, being taught what real love feels like. Imagine the part of you that shuts down, being welcomed back with softness. Imagine the angry part of you, being shown how to rest. This is what Mary means when she says the soul regains its true likeness. It's not about perfection, it's about wholeness, about remembering you were never meant to live fractured. Now here's where the teaching becomes radical, and this is why her gospel was controversial. Mary says that Jesus taught her that authority is something that rises inside you when you reconnect with your true self, not external hierarchy, not religious control, not approval from the world. Authority, in the spiritual sense, comes from alignment. This is why the other disciples didn't understand her. This is why Peter questioned whether Jesus could have possibly shared teachings with a woman that he didn't share with them. Because Mary spoke from a place they hadn't reached yet. And maybe you felt that too. You start healing. You start listening to God. You start choosing yourself. And suddenly people around you don't understand you anymore. Your healing threatens the systems that depended on your brokenness. Your clarity disrupts the relationships built on your confusion. Your boundaries offend people who benefited from your lack of them. Your rising triggers those who want you to stay small. This is the same dynamic Mary faced. Healing threatens the unhealed. Wholeness intimidates the fragmented. But the gospel says she stood firm. She didn't argue. She didn't shrink. She didn't seek their approval. She simply said, "I will speak what the Savior taught me." That's integration. The healed self speaking above the wounded ones, her own and theirs. Now let's bring this into your life, because this teaching wants to become something real in you, not just intellectual. Think of a moment recently where you reacted in a way that surprised you. A shutdown, a panic response, a sudden anger, a deep longing, a fear of abandonment, a jealousy, a need for validation. That reaction wasn't the whole of you. It was a self, a younger, wounded, frightened part of you, stepping forward because it didn't feel safe. Mary would tell you that your work in that moment is not shame, but reunion, not punishment, but presence, not self-blame, but compassion, because you can't heal a fragment by rejecting it. You heal it by letting it be seen. You heal it by speaking to it the way Jesus spoke to the broken, with truth, yes, but also with warmth and dignity. So ask yourself, what part of me spoke in that moment? What does that part of me need? Where did it learn that behavior? What is it trying to protect? And how can I bring it closer instead of pushing it deeper? That's the heart of Mary Magdalene's teaching. Healing the fragmented self is the path out of fear, out of repetition, out of emotional cycles that feel spiritual, but are really psychological wounds reenacting themselves. When your fragments come home, you stop reacting from the past. You stop confusing longing for destiny. You stop mistaking fear for intuition. You stop settling for the familiar pain because it feels like love. And you finally experience what Jesus meant when he said, "The kingdom is within you." Not a place, a wholeness, a full self, a heart returned to its original shape. And this is where your life begins to shift, because you no longer chase what hurts you. You no longer attach to what drains you. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer abandon yourself to keep someone else from abandoning you. You live integrated, awake, aligned, unfractured. This is why Mary's gospel is so powerful and so threatening. It teaches that the path to God is not through external permission, but inner integration. That salvation is not escape, but awakening. and that the soul becomes free the moment it stops fighting its own broken pieces and instead brings them back into the light. So take a moment right now and just breathe. Think of one part of yourself you've rejected for years, one fragment you've treated as the enemy, one wounded version of you that has been begging to come home. And hear this, it is not too late for that part of you. You are not too far gone. Nothing in you is beyond repair. God doesn't restore you by erasing your pieces. He restores you by reuniting them. This is Mary's secret. This is her teaching. And if you let it inside you, it will change everything. If this message spoke to something deep in you, stay close, because this journey is just beginning. Mary's gospel is not only a text, it's a mirror. And if you felt parts of yourself rising while you listened, that's not accidental. That's your soul responding to what it already knows. If you want to walk further into this lost wisdom, into healing, into wholeness, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next teaching. And if you feel moved, share this with someone who's been trying to hold themselves together alone. They may need this more than you realize. Until next time, be gentle with your fragments. They're finding their way home.